I was thinking today, I was sort of reflecting as we move into another holiday weekend, what our business has been through for over 2 years now, close, I guess you could say 2.5 years. And what do I mean by that? So a lot of you have heard us, or me, speaking about, by the way, this is what happens when you wear the wrong shirt while smoking a cigar. You get holes. Anyways, I was reflecting on what it took to produce the outcomes that we've had for the last 2.5 years to really survive. And so what do I mean by that? Well, we started in 1956 and we grew, as many of you know the story, from a 200 square foot seafood store selling to the locals into a 3,000 seat seafood experience on 55,000 square feet, setting 4 Guinness World Records, serving 2 million customers a year and producing $30 million in sales. And that's family-owned and operated enterprise. So when we try to stay innovative, try to institute new technologies, but when you have habits like that have been around for a long time, it can be challenging to make those changes and shift the culture because people are sort of set in their ways, and it's like, well, if it's not broken, why do we have to fix it? At one point, we had something like 5 different point-of-sale systems. I think maybe 3 just in one location on its own, and we had multiple locations at the time. Pandemic made it really difficult to make the changes we wanted to change and just be on one system, but we were looking at one in particular, and that was Toast. But again, it's like we've been sold on so many, we didn't want to, one, we had contracts we didn't want to break, and 2, making those changes and switching over can be challenging, can be difficult. But then sometimes something will happen that's cataclysmic, threatening the existence of your business, and it forces you to make hard choices that you couldn't make before. You have to do them for survival. The pandemic was one of those. But then right as we're coming out of the pandemic, and we managed to not just survive the pandemic, we did have to close some locations. It became clear that they didn't make sense to have them anymore. We had to really redefine our strategic goals and who we were as a company and what we were trying to produce as a business long term. And we realized we need to focus on these bigger seaside locations, which is what we did. We opened Long Beach, we were building in the waterfront in LA, but there was this redevelopment happening on the waterfront in LA, and it had been going on for quite a while, and it was always unclear as to how we would fit into it. Were we in it? Were we not? Were we moving to another location? And either way, we knew that we were probably going to have this interim situation where we'd have to find a place to be temporarily. But we didn't know for sure if that was going to happen, when it was going to happen, or how we were going to do it. So when the actual notice came and said, hey, you got to get out of your buildings by March 3rd of 2023, which was a little over 2 years ago, we did something pretty amazing. I'm still amazed that our team pulled this off. Is in 60 days, we reopened, and essentially what you could call it a pop-up. I don't really like that word because I think what we're doing is much more significant than just a pop-up location. But there was a 23,000 square foot parking lot adjacent to us. And we were able in 60 days to reopen and institute a lot of new technologies, a whole new tech stack, actually, thanks to my nephew, Henry Jr., my brother's son, and the work of our entire team who had been researching different technologies. We were able to institute Toast in conjunction with ME&U, which is a QR code scanning system. And the reason we had to use the 2 different ones is this parking lot, even though it sounds, why I don't like to call it a pop-up, is it's a 23,000 square foot parking lot, which meant we went from 3,000 seats to 900 seats, but 900 seats is still significant. So how do you reproduce your customer experience in a parking lot using FEMA trailers and portable bathrooms? There's no drainage, there's no power, there's no gas. We had to completely reinvent the wheel. But what worked for us was the new tech stack we instituted, specifically having Toast and ME&U. It allowed us to do something we couldn't do before, which was become super efficient, even more efficient than we'd ever been before, and still give the customers a great experience of having the same world-class seafood that we've had before. And one of the things I noticed is I would go to all these restaurants. I would go to a restaurant, I should say. I would notice that the majority of them had Toast handhelds. And I go, well, that's interesting. I'm not seeing Aloha's much anymore, or any of the other ones, like Revel that we were using too. And I would ask the server or the person behind the counter, how do you like Toast? And the reviews are always positive, like 95% of them. The ones that were negative were minor. It's like I didn't want to learn something new. But ultimately, I liked it. So I was pretty confident it was going to be okay when we switched over. But my God, without those 2 technologies, I don't think in 60 days, I don't think we would have been able to reopen in 60 days the way that we did. And it really revolutionized the way we're able to run the business. So in an upcoming episode of Fish Factor, I had the opportunity, you're going to see, and a great interview I had with the CMO of Toast. And I hope you're going to enjoy that when we launch it soon. And I just wanted to say, as I kind of reflect on what we've had to go through, we're still in this parking lot. Actually, we're in a different parking lot. We were only in that one for about 9 months, and then we had to move into another parking lot. Although that one didn't take 60 days, it actually just took a few days, and in the rain to boot. And now what we're building is we're calling it phase 2. So we don't call it the pop-up, we call it the landing. And we call it the landing as a shout out to the location that we had all through the 60s and 70s right up until the early 80s. We were in a place called Norm's Landing, which was on the LA waterfront. And for those of you who've been there or ever watched the Love Boat, it went out every week right by the Portugal Village, which was built around us. Except when they were expanding the Portugal Village, Norm's Landing was in the way, and we had to leave and work in a parking lot for about a year or two until we rebuilt San Pedro Fish Market, and eventually Krusty Krab was also built, and we took that over. And those two locations, which were right next to each other, was the 55,000 square feet, 3,000 seats that we ran. So now here we are in another parking lot, and we don't call it pop-up, we call it the landing as a shout out to how we survived the last time this happened. What we're about to move into in the next few days, which I've done some videos of, is called the landing phase 2. The reason we call it phase 2 is it's not a pop-up, it's not temporary. It is temporary, but it'll be 3 to 5 years temporary while we rebuild the original legacy location of San Pedro Fish Market right next door. And that's the 49-year lease I signed that will be on a 55,000 square foot plot, basically what we had before with our 3,000 seats coming back. But stay tuned, because thanks to our work with Toast and ME&U, we'll be reopening landing phase 2 very, very soon. About 1,600 seats, maybe a little bit more, 33,000 square feet right on the water, 4,000 square foot kitchen complex, bars, entertainment. It's going to be awesome. Super excited about it. But I thought, maybe a quick shout out to both Toast and ME&U for their help in making that happen and working with our teams to make something incredible and something magical to keep our legacy business alive, running, thriving, and survive. A little more than surviving. So thank you all. Hope you enjoyed the short video, and hope you're all enjoying the Memorial Day weekend. We're also having Fleet Week right in San Pedro. So if you're in the area, stop by and thank your servicemen for all the sacrifices they make to keep our country safe, strong, and sound. Mike and Carl here. Take care.